Right. I assume you guys can hear me in the back. Am I loud enough or you want me to go more louder? Good? Good enough? All right, good. Okay. All right. So the session for today is virtual volumes. I'm sure you must have gone to these sessions, right? Pure has some of those, and then you have other storage vendors where they talk about vVols, right? Viva vVols. And they talk about how vVols are great and how it's beautiful and how that helps any application, business critical application, do most of the day two operations, right? So from my background, I've been an Oracle DBA for 26 years, joined VMware 2012. I'm pre-sales, I'm post-sales, I'm ex-PSO, services, GSS, jack of all trades, master of none, right? This is exactly what I am, right? So what happens is with vVols, we'll talk about BCDR, scalability, and some performance number, whatever I can manage to squeeze in 30 minutes. And if I'm not, I'm going to start talking faster. I'm from India. This is basically what we do. This is what we Indians do, right? We talk fast, right? All right. So that's the agenda for today's discussion here. You have challenges to running Oracle workloads. You know, what challenges vVol solves, right? And I'm going to talk about that classic RDM versus VMDK. Trust me, how many people had that RDM versus VMDK holy war going on and how vVol solves that, right? Talk about some of the use cases, backup and restore, cloning, right? Noisy neighbor. I'll talk about a case study that we did where we ran Oracle workloads, vVol versus VMFS, and where we saw performance improvements. And then if you guys have any further questions, feel free, come, hunt me down, search for me. I'll be there at the expo floor. More than happy to have a discussion. There is a drawing at 4:45 for a pair of good sneakers. It's beautiful. You don't like it, just give me the ticket. I'll take it, right? I love free stuff, right? Good. All right. This is what vVol is, right? So I'm not going to go much deep into it, but from a high level perspective, you have your protocol. How many people have actually heard of vVol? Or familiar? So okay, I'm preaching to the choir here. You have the PE, protocol endpoint. You have the VASA. You have the storage container. Great. Beautiful. So I can move on. With NVMe Fabric, right, you have Jason Massey and you have Cody Osterman from Pure Storage doing that awesome presentation, right? With the NVMe Fabric, you have the VPE, your virtual PE. So you don't need to have that physical PE attached to every ESXi servers, right? I know I'm waiting for it. I know you guys are waiting for it. So let's stay tuned. And challenges. This is where I want to come to. Challenges of running Oracle workloads, right? See, what happens is not every database is born alike. Every DB has different levels of criticality. Every database is born different, right? What happens is, and of course, nobody here in the audience will stand up and say, well, my database hasn't changed shape or size for the last 10, 15 years. It's been at 2 terabytes. Please, then that's not a database. That's an Excel sheet. That's a Word document. Then this is not the session for that, right? Databases will increase in size. The rate of change depends from DB to DB. What happens then is, it's a matter of scale, right? When you have the Oracle ways of backing an Oracle database up, probably 5 years ago, it won't work now for you because it's gonna break as per Hooke's law, right? Then what do? At some point of time, you need to start talking about VMware way of replicating it or taking a backup or the storage way of doing it, right? So those are some challenges here. From let's say a backup restore use case, correct? When we start talking about an application way of taking a backup, you have your Oracle RMAN, your hot backup, so on and so forth. That works like a charm, right? But like I spoke about the scale, at some point of time, they will take a long time, right? Ideally, you guys being VMware guys, you just want to go to the web client, right click, take a VMware snapshot, clone, and lo presto, I'm done, right? That's where you want to do it. But all of us, we know with VMware snapshot, where you have snapshot of a snapshot of a snapshot of a snapshot, you go to delete it or coalesce it takes a long time. Yes? But then, what's the fastest way of doing it? Storage base, correct? But everything in the world has pros and cons. With storage base, I get his database, her database, your database. I don't want any, I just want my database. I can't do that. So, people say, don't worry, I'll solve the problem. 1 RDM per database, I'll solve it. Great. Oh, see, now you're back to the RDM versus vVol issue, right? Where you run out of SCSI limit once you go to 1024. So there is no real cure to it. The cure to it is virtual volumes. But what happens is with vVol, you have that VM level granularity or a VMDK level granularity, but you get the look and feel of a RDM. Things that we have been loving in the past before, right? RDM, physical devices. So speed of storage with the flexibility of doing these operations on a VM or even on a VMDK level. And I'll give you use cases as to why you want to do it on a VMDK level, right? For example, you have a virtual machine with 3 databases, right? Open question to anybody. You have a virtual machine with 3 VMDKs. I just need to snapshot 1 database on 1 VMDK and I need to back it up and I need to clone it. How will you do it? VMKFS tools, Power CLI, take a virtual machine snapshot, take a clone, go and delete it. You see all the stuff I'm doing around here? Okay, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to use the plugin from a storage vendor. I'm going to point it to that VMDK. I'm going to take a snapshot, take a clone, attach it, I'm done. I'm off to the movies. See how life becomes simple when you have virtual volumes doing it for you. Because at the end of the day, vVol is nothing but a well-orchestrated system of RDMs. Let me tell that again. vVol is nothing but a orchestrated system of RDMs. It is nothing but an RDM, right? As an RDM, as a LUN, if the LUN ID is 256, with the virtual volumes, you have the PE, and if the PE LUN ID is 1, it's 1:256. That's all to it. So an RDM can become a vVol can become an RDM, but it's that bridge between your VMDK and RDM, right? So let's look at some of the challenges. Okay, how many people have faced this war? VMDK versus RDM. Your Oracle DBAs come back to you and say, just give me RDMs. You know what? VMDK's performance is so bad, right? I just ran my test. Yes, probably 10, 15 years ago, right? Pre-ESX 3.5 days. 3.5, 4.0, 5.0. And that's the reason why I put these old documents there, right? Because we already solved the problem saying performance difference is only 1%. And there is no reason for me to do the same performance testing on ESXi, right? U2 or U1. I don't have to do it. I've already proved it. The performance difference is low. So I have now taken care of the biggest elephant in the room. I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about the biggest elephant in the room. That's your performance, right? So given the fact that there is no performance difference, let's talk about some use cases. Why people use RDM? Well, Oracle RAC requires RDM. Who told you? Who told you Oracle RAC requires RDM? Oracle RAC doesn't require RDM. Reason being, if you were running 9i, Oracle 9i on VCS or HP Service Guard, right? Or AIX, what's that from IBM? HACMP, right? Yes, you then need, because those clusters where they require to send SCSI-3 persistent reservation to the disk. If you fall into the category, probably you need RDM. If you're not, then no. My friends, you don't need RDM, right? Because Oracle Clusterware does not do SCSI-3 persistent reservation. It does something called a stone it. Stone the other node in the head. That's what Oracle does. So, if I don't need SCSI-3 persistent reservation, why do I need RDMs for Oracle databases or Oracle RAC? Well, Microsoft Cluster requires it, but we eliminated that, right? With cluster VMDKs, we solved the problem. So, why do I need RDM? Well, NPIV, sure. I don't know how many in the audience does NPIV, but if you are still doing NPIV, good luck with you, right? You guys can use RDM. All I'm trying to get to is you don't need RDMs, right? Third, noisy neighbor. RDMs eliminate noisy neighbor. I agree. RDM eliminates noisy neighbor. VMDK does not. It does have problems, but how about vVols? Doesn't vVol eliminate your noisy neighbor? Because vVol at the end of the day is a volume, is a volume, is a volume. Is a LUN, is a LUN, is a LUN. vVol eliminates the problem. Great. Second, I start talking about granularity of operation, right? I just gave you a use case here where I'm able to say I just need to take a snapshot of a VMDK or a virtual machine, clone it, and bring it back in a couple of minutes. So I get the level of granularity when I use vVol, right? Third, number of devices. And how many people have faced this problem of 256, 512, 1024 SCSI limit? How many people? Everybody, probably everybody, right? With vVol, you don't have the problem. With vVols, SCSI vVol, the limit is 4,000 per ESXi servers. NVMe vVol, 1,000. Really, would you go beyond 4,000 devices? Probably may in a couple of years, right? But isn't that much better than 1024? So case in point being, you guys don't need RDMs. Welcome to the vVol world, right? And I'll tell you how vVol solves your problems. Let's talk about Oracle backup. And again, wherever you see this word Oracle or database, you can just take Oracle out and put SQL. It just works. Maybe the commands are different, but the methodology is still the same. The guys running SAP do the same thing here, right? I'm just using Oracle as an example to show how vVol makes your day 2 operations easy. Again, you don't have to read the verbiage in the bottom of the slide. I'm sure the slides will be given out to you guys. But just think, you have 2 virtual machines. You have a database server running on the left-hand side, right? The left virtual machine. You have a media server, right? Call it a media server running on the right-hand side. All I need to do is take a snapshot of one of the VMDKs from that source virtual machine, which has its databases hosted on that. I need to clone it and attach it to the target virtual machine because I need to back it up using net backup, Zerto, or whatever you have, right? Help me solve this issue. How would I do that? And this is exactly how I would do. I would just use the plugin from that storage vendor in question. I would point it to that VMDK. So this example was done using Pure. So I'm going to talk in the perspective. I just used the Pure plugin, pointed it to the virtual machine, and said I need VMDK number 4, or I need VMDK number 3, and take a snapshot. It said okay, snapshot taken. And the next screen I would go to, essentially I said, can I clone from the snapshot? Sure. So I made a vVol clone of that VMDK, which essentially has vVol as the underlying storage. I then attach the cloned vVol to the target virtual machine. I'm done. I can then back it up using whatever backup mechanism, right? If you have to do the same thing using RDMs, tell me what you guys would do, right? You would go to the storage GUI, take a snapshot, clone it, and then attach it to the virtual machine. You lose one SCSI ID, correct? You lose one SCSI position. Imagine if you have to do it for all the virtual machines. Say, here you go. You start losing all the SCSI IDs. Well, I could do that using VMDK. Oh, good luck with that, right? Try using VMKFS tools, Power CLI. It just takes a long time. Can I do it? Yes, I can, right? Should I be doing it? No, you don't want to do it because it takes a lot of time. What makes my life easy? vVol, right? Again, this is more of an Oracle thingy here. All I'm trying to say is once you attach that clone VMDK to the target server, you scan the bus, it would just appear as a /dev/SDD1, SDE1, SDF1. Your ASM devices, ASM stands for the Automatic Storage Management from Oracle, essentially just a raw device that appears. Bring up your Oracle database on the target server. You have your database running. Low presto, you can do whatever you want to do with that, right? So database backup and restore becomes very easy with vVols. If I don't use a plugin, let's say if I don't use the Pure plugin, can I do it without the Pure plugin or any other plugin from any other storage vendor? Absolutely. But there are some certain manual steps that you have to do that, right? But again, vVol really helps you with any of the day 2 operations. Okay. I am going to talk about the rack virtual machines, right? Hang on. If I have to do the same thing for Oracle rack, right? The current restriction with Oracle rack, I don't know how many people are running Oracle rack on VMware. Anyone? Yep. VMDKs, multi-writer? Probably. So if you guys are using VMDKs with multi-writer, the current restriction is you cannot take a snapshot, right? Engineering is working to fix it, but as of now, you can't take snapshots, CVD, clones, storage vMotion, HCX, vSphere replication, KB article 1034165, right? Or if you're on vSAN, it's 2121181, right? I have those KB articles memorized. So those are the restrictions that you have, right? But with vVols, what you can then do is, at the end of the day, it's just a vVol under the cover. You can use the GUI, the storage GUI, to clone it up, right? The same way as you do with RDMs. The reason why I keep coming back to RDMs, I want you guys, if you guys are using RDMs, to get off RDMs. No more RDMs. RDMs is not your new best friend. vVols is your new best friend, okay? All right. If I have to do the restore, this is exactly how I would do the restore. I have a clone of the virtual machine. I'm just going to clone it back and I'm done, right? So this becomes easy. This is where I need to come to. How many people support their Oracle DBAs when they have to do database cloning? I'm sure you guys must be doing it, right? The Oracle DBAs come to you and say, I need a clone of the virtual machine. I need a clone of this 2 terabyte, 10 terabyte, 20 terabyte. Please do it. And this guy says, okay, sure, I'll do it. He starts doing a snapshot. The clone runs for an hour. The Oracle DBA comes back after his or her lunch. Says, you're still doing it? Is it still going on? Oh man, I wish I had used RDMs. And you're like, oh, I don't want to give you RDMs because I run out of SCSI limit, right? That's the challenge we have here. What if we had a vVol? What if you had a vVol, right? When you had a vVol, because remember, when you have a VMDK, underneath the VMDK cover, right? Whether if it's VMFS, whether it's iSCSI, whether it's NFS, whether it's block, FC, NVMe or Fabric, RDMA, TCP, I really don't care, right? Whether it's vVol, a VMDK is a VMDK is a VMDK. So whatever you want to do with the VMDK is still, you can do it, right? vVol helps you. Because what happens is when you take a snapshot of the VMDK, you have a snapshot of the VMDK or you have the clone of the VMDK, attach it. So you are now able to avoid that RDM evil, and I can definitely say that out loud, RDM evil, and you can then move from RDMs over to vVol. So let me just show you this one, right? Same, I'm going to use the same 2 virtual machines, the source and the target, correct? Ignore whatever I've written at the bottom here. This is mostly verbiage for the Oracle guys, right? But my work or my essence, my exercise of the day is I need to take snapshot or clone of 2 VMDKs which has vVol under the cover, attach it to a target virtual machine, correct? That's pretty much what I would do. I would take a VMDK level snapshot of the 2 VMDKs in question or 4 VMDKs in question, pick and choose what you want to do, attach it to the source or attach it to the target virtual machines, and low presto, I'm done, right? And I don't know, I don't want to bore you guys with Oracle details, but Oracle has this concept called container databases. How many people have heard of CDBs, container database or pluggable databases, right? See what happens, think of it. I'll give you an example, right? You have a virtual machine with, let's say, 3 databases. If I have to translate that to the Oracle world, those 3 virtual machines or the 3 databases within that one virtual machine, those 3 DBs are what are known as PDBs, pluggable databases. The virtual machine is a container database, right? Your DBA may come back to you and say, man, I just want to just take a backup of one of the PDBs in that CDB, and then you go scratching your head and like, I probably can give him the entire virtual machine. The guy can then go and drop what he or she wants to do, right? That's one way to do it. It works. It just take a long time. The second way to do it is for you to go and ask him, tell me the VMDKs you want me to copy, and I'll copy that for you, right? So using the plugin, you go basically and say, take a snapshot, take a clone, attach it to the target, virtual machine. He or she is now your new best friend, right? So it solves a lot of these day 2 issues here, right? I'm going to skip over this one, noisy neighbor, right? Same thing up with noisy neighbor. When you have your VMDKs on virtual volumes, right? Remember, these are not RDMs, but this is an RDM. This is a LUN at the end of the day, for crying out loud, right? The only difference being, with RDMs, you have a SCSI ID, a UUID that you can see. With vVols, you don't have a SCSI ID or you don't have a UUID. It does, right? When you start looking at it, it's basically an SLU, a subsidiary LUN unit, right? All you see is just the protocol endpoint on the ESXi server, right? Your vVol would just be 1:256 or 1:255. That's exactly what it is. So it helps with the noisy neighbor. And let me come to the meat of the matter here, right? So we basically said, okay, that's all good. Operational wise, I'm able to, provide a lot of operational efficiency to my customers, right? I don't need RDMs. I've already proved it. I've already proved that the performance difference between RDM and VMDK is probably 1%, right? Or even less than that. A lot of benefits using vVol. But I was just talking about performance, right? Does it really give me the performance that the VMware guys have been claiming that it does, right? So we just ran a test. We said, okay, why don't we just have a virtual machine running on vVol, virtual machine, same VM, running on RDM. Let's run a workload, correct? And when we run a workload, let's compare the results. Again, disclaimer here, right? The numbers you see will be completely different than what you get in your environment, because I ran a synthetic workload generator, which means if I see X, when you go back and run it in your beefier servers, you'll probably see 3, 4, or 5X, right? But back to the thing here, I used a load generator called SLOP. SLOP stands for what's known as Silly Little Oracle Benchmark. It's called Silly Little Oracle Benchmark. It's written by a guy called Kevin Clausen, right? If you guys can Google him. He's the guy who wrote the Oracle Disk Manager, ODM, right? He's a very brainy guy. So he basically came up with this load generator, right? The whole essence of this exercise was try to hit that LUN as hard as possible, correct? So I don't want to have any logical reads. Physical writes, right? I want to tax the volume, the VMDK, the vVol in question, and see how much physical writes can I get. So that's exactly what we did. From an ESXi level, from a guest operating system level, from even an Oracle level, right? We see that the metrics are far much better on the vVol side than what you have on the RDM side. And if anybody in the audience is kind of wondering what this guy is talking about when he talks about execute per SQL, anytime you guys go talk to your application owners, right? You talk to your Oracle DB or SQL DBA, the guy would say, or he or she would say, well, you know what? My number of transactions went down. I'm not able to run as many SQLs as I was able to run 2 days ago, right? I need to increase the number of logical reads. I need to increase the number of physical reads. See, these are metrics that's very important for any application person. Oracle DBA, SQL DBA, no difference, right? What we saw was the execute SQL per second. That's a metric we use to track the performance of an Oracle database. That increased, right? So again, from an ESXi perspective, virtual machine perspective, OS perspective, database perspective, all I saw was a win-win situation when I used vVol as compared to RDMs here, right? Again, the first test was with just one VMDK, right? With one VMDK, compare. Then I said, okay, how about 2 VMDKs? Can I just scale it up, right? With 2 VMDKs, I saw similar performance as well. Well, you know what? The madness can stop here. I can probably have 3 VMDKs, 4 VMDKs, I can keep going on. But I think I've already made my point here, right? With virtual volumes, performance, you are able to get as you are able to get it, or probably a bit more, or probably a lot more, not a bit more, a lot more with RDMs. Patching made easy for you. I'm not going to go very deep into this one, right? Refreshing, but let me just come to a. All right. But even with that, even before I wrap it up, and I know that we do have some time for questions as well, right? So I just want to get a couple of poll questions out, right? How many people are still using RDMs? RDMs, right? Is there a need for you to use RDMs? I just want to understand the use cases here. Good. Let's talk about that use case. The gentleman here said, well, I had an Oracle database sitting on a bare metal server, correct me if I'm wrong, and I had to move it over to VMware, and hence I use RDM. Great. You should only be using that as a cutover. Once you cut over, you really don't need an RDM, because you could then do that as a vVol. See, in fact, there's a guy called Cody Hosterman. He's very popular. You guys know who Cody is. I don't have to introduce Cody to him, right? His blog site, awesome. I read his blog sites, right? His blog site basically talks about how an RDM can be converted to vVol and vice versa. So if you have an RDM, for example, your use case could be, I have physical Oracle rack sitting on a bare metal server or bunch of bare metal servers. I just want to move that, right, from point A to point B. Here's what you can do. If I have a 2-node Oracle rack sitting on bare metal, what I can do is then I could create 2 more virtual machines, right? And I can have VMDK sitting on vVols, right? I can add this virtual machine over to this node, right? So I have now 3 rack nodes. I can add this virtual machine to the same rack cluster. So now I have 4 rack nodes. I shut node 1 down. I shut node 2 down. I probably should have been a magician here, I'll tell you. Right? So I have 2 rack nodes running on, and essentially the way you shut it down is you remove this instance from the rack cluster, right? I'm just trying to prove a point that you don't need Oracle RDMs, you don't need RDMs for Oracle rack cluster. Again, let me just stress, Oracle does not do SCSI 3 PR. So if you go back, and if anybody says, wake you up in the middle of the night, Oracle does SCSI 3 PR, your answer is no, it does not do that, right? No, it does not do that, right? Because all it does is just says, stone the other node on the head, right? So when you don't have that use case, you don't need RDMs for that, right? Again, with vVols, single instance, Oracle rack works like a charm. We spoke about cloning, we spoke about patching, refreshing. I didn't really want to bore you guys with this entire refreshing and patching thing, but yes, if you guys are interested, more than happy to go through it. The most important use case that I see from a VM admin perspective is the backup, the restores, and the cloning, right? How many times people have come to you and said, okay, clone me a virtual machine, right? Or clone me this database, and then he goes scratching your head, okay, I got to clone an entire virtual machine for this guy, right? If you are able to identify those VMDKs on vVols, you are able to do that. And let me quickly move on to the, if there's anything that you think is useful from this session, I think this slide is the most useful thing in this session, because pretty much anything that I produce, Oracle on anything, Oracle on vVol, Oracle on VMFS, iSCSI, NFS, NVME or Fabric, right? NVME vVol, once that's announced, or even let's say performance best practices, rack guides, business continuity, disaster recovery, Oracle and cloud, Oracle and VMC, Oracle with this, Oracle with that. Everything finds a home here, including Oracle licensing. So if you guys are interested in even that topic, feel free, go in here, and like I said, I will be there at the expo booth, right? Come all the way to the end, hunt me down. If you have any questions, more than happy to talk to you about it, right? Whether it's a licensing question or whether it's a technical deep dive. If it's licensing, you guys have to buy me a drink, right? I gotta be drunk enough to start talking about that. If not, it's fine. You guys don't owe me anything. But apart from that, thank you for coming. If you guys have any questions after this, please talk to me. All right? Thanks. All right.